One of the things I like to make are secret boxes and slab constructed pieces. And in the studio we have a slab roller, but if you don't have a slab roller, then I'm going to show you how to make slabs a couple of different ways. The most important thing is, after you make the slabs, you need to wait a while in order to put them together. If you watch all of these technical ability tapes, then you should watch them all and then combine them somehow into different forms that would combine these different techniques. So here's the way I use a couple of guides to build slabs. I've got a canvas board, and I've got these are wooden Venetian blinds, and a stretcher. Actually, it's a little thin frame to make a frame on a painting. But I just put this down and pound it out. If it's nice and wet, then it shouldn't be a problem. You don't want to pound it out too thin. You just want to pound it out thin enough to where you can then get a rolling pin over it. And the rolling pin goes right on the guides, so it only allows you to roll it out a certain distance. That way your slab is kept nice and even. You can do this in sections, and this one is not going to be actually wide enough for me, so I'm going to have to do it in sections. My rolling pin isn't very big, but it keeps it from making it thin and thick. That's the biggest problem in drawing in this. Okay, so now I've got a thin piece of clay. It's very even, and I'm going to set that over, and then I'm going to cut another piece and make another slab just like it, and then I'm going to join them together. The other way you can make slabs is by kind of flopping them like a wave. You can kind of stretch them that way, and you can also do it in the width too. So this one needs to be a little wider, so I'm kind of flopping it to get it to grow. And sometimes you can get really beautiful shapes this way and just leave them that way. This is a very organic way of making slabs. And you can also cast slabs, which is a technique that Tom Manhart, my teacher, developed. Now there you can see it's a little thinner there and there, so I'm just going to kind of flop that over, pound it out, and hopefully I haven't trapped any air in there. There we go. Now it's the same thickness, pretty much. And now I'm going to join the first slab together with the second slab to make a wider slab. Just overlap it, smash it down. You don't have to use slip at this point if you're actually not joining a piece together. It's very wet clay, so it doesn't need that. Alright, so now we have a nice slab that I'm going to let dry for a while, and then we'll come back to that. But I still like them. And I'm going to put my form down and just kind of cover the whole thing. You want to create a barrier between the clay and the form so you can slide it out. So this, you don't want to tape it to the piece, but you want to tape it around the piece and to itself. So I'm going to just use a little masking tape here so that the clay doesn't stick to the tape itself, and just tape that around it. And then I'm going to cut it off at the top. And voila, I have a tube that is a great mold for making some kind of a tall piece. And so then I'm going to go back to my slab and I've got some texture tools that I'm going to work with on my slab before I get too far into the whole thing. And I've been collecting these for years. Some of them are like my old truck car mat out of my old Ford truck, which I'm just going to start with. And, ooh, that was loud. Actually, I may actually make it a little deeper by rolling across it. There we go. And you can do this now, or you can do it after it's on the slab, or on the mold rather. But I just kind of like to do it different times, different ways. And I've got some little wooden tools that I'm going to put into here, just kind of haphazardly crawling up the side of this thing. And maybe one more. Maybe this thing would be fun to use. So now I have this composition. I may or may not like it. I can get rid of it if I don't like it. And I flip it over on the canvas board, and I put the form right down on it, and I draw a line along the bottom where the bottom is going to be. Now, if you like the top kind of wavery, you can leave it that way. If you don't, then you can cut it off. I think I'm going to kind of cut it off. So I'm going to cut this right across there. It's a little wavery anyway. And then I'm just going to pull this up around it and roll it. And it doesn't completely cover the tube. So that's okay. I'm all right with that. I'm going to scratch and put some slip on it right where it does match. Not to get the slip on the paper. Very important that you don't make it seal to the paper. Now that's a couple of little gaps in there. Now what are the implications of that? What can I do with that? Well, I've got some more clay here. Let's see if it sort of fits into that shape. It does, pretty good. So I'm going to scratch the areas around that and put some slip on it. Not to get it on the paper. I want to get it to stick to that tape. Make it hard to get off. Now I'm just going to smash that in and pinch it off up here. And I'm going to use my paddle to be able to join that together. I may like that and just leave a little edge there, or if I don't want that, I can get rid of it by using my serrated scraper and just blending that in. But I kind of like it, so I'm going to leave that. And now I'm going to cut this off along the top. And now I've got this bottom piece, and oh my goodness, nope, that isn't big enough. I'm just going to cut another piece of my slab off and scratch put some slip on it and keep it off the tape and put that over it and then join it together with the paddle. Now, I used to use the expression scratch, slip, and schmuck, and some of my Jewish kids said one day, you know, Mr. Liggett, that's not what the word schmuck means. And so I don't use that anymore. Oh, I'm just going to kind of do that up there, maybe a little bit, and maybe a little of this. I don't like that as well. That's better. And now I've got a column. Raku is wonderful for doing tall pieces like this because you can get lots of them into the kiln. And now I've got a little piece of my slab left, and I'm just going to set that on top of it and draw around it with my needle tool. Set this over and cut it off in that shape. So that's going to be the bottom of my tube. And I'm going to use my serrated scraper now, scratch, put some slip on it, a little bit more, and I'm going to actually put some scratches on the bottom of my piece because that's the place I think that it might get me into trouble. So on the bottom of this I'm going to put little scratches also and make sure that I'm not getting my clay over the edge there because I want to be able to get this off. Oops, I missed. There we go. Now really press it into it. But if you do this too much, it'll actually kind of come off. It'll make it wider at the bottom. So you got to be careful about that. Now, most of the time, I would leave this for, you know, several hours, 2 or 3 hours maybe, and that way it would set up and get harder. So let's do that. But before I do that, I could look at it and see if I like the texture, because now's when you can really put some really good texture in there. I think I'm going to move the camera so you can see that better. Yeah, that's a little better. So now I've got my texture on there. Pretty happy with the way those are flowing. And I could trim this off at the bottom, get it cleaned up a little bit. And I'm not going to mess with the top until it gets a little stiffer. Okay. It's great. And then the newspaper can just be taken out, and if I'm careful I can use it over and over again, which is kind of nice to have. Well, it's going to fall apart. Oh well, newspaper's cheap, right? Yeah, it all came out. So I'm going to now work a little bit on the top. Not too much, but a little bit. I kind of like it the way it is, but I think it might need a little bit of smoothing. So I'm going to take just the chamois, I think, that we used before, and just kind of lighten up the round the edges on this. I just don't like sharp edges, and I don't mind bumps and things like that, but I don't want a person to get lacerated by, you know, picking up one of my pieces. And it seems like to me it needs a little something at the top there, so I'll probably dig my fingernail in here. Maybe go this way with it and get my thumbnail to press in there a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of nice. I like that. Get it wet again. Clean the slip off. Now it's set up enough to where I can move it around without worrying that it's going to collapse on itself, you know. That's a good feeling. Now that fingernail, that thumbnail doesn't work as well, so I gotta do it this way. So I have a longer one on that side or something. Or I'm just using my right hand, I'm not sure why. Yeah, I like that better. So now it's really pretty done. I think I'm going to turn it over and kind of paddle it in a little bit here, so it has a little bit of a shadow area. I like that. And then, I mean, you can look at the outside. This is when you sign it, when it's upside down like this. So what have I got here that I can sign with? I sign them and then I don't mess with them. I don't try to, you know, foots with them very much there, because I think it's easier when they're totally dry to break those edges off. Voila! Now it should be engobed. If I want to put an underglaze on, now is the time to do that. If I don't want that, I just want oxides and glaze, and then I don't have to do anything. So I probably will not do anything. Except for that.